कि the Google is getting in loss. So yeah, to prevent that, what the HRs can do is they can organize some tours to the vulnerable places of the society, take them to those places, let them know the vulnerabilities, let them know that yeah, there are also some people who are not able to meet their basic necessities. So yeah, this will help the organization in retention of the employees who are leaving. So the next question will be solved by Arya. Ma'am, we were just practicing like till you didn't come, so we thought we should just practice. Sir told.
Oh, acha. This is practice. I thought the session you have already begun presentation. Okay.
No.
Good. So,
should we start from the start?
Yes, you have to start from the start. Prerna is not joining today also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. किसके साथ थी प्रेरणा का ग्रुप? Tripti?
Yes, ma'am.
She's with you, na? Prerna and you were supposed to present?
No, ma'am, she will not find.
She's not fine, so you are presenting on your own, all by yourself?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I have only written on the page. I thought when we discuss the case study, after that make the presentation. But now she's saying this is not fine, so I could not make it, ma'am.
Achha, so you have not made the presentation?
No, ma'am. I have only written on the page.
Okay, okay. So she's not joining, she has told you?
Yes, ma'am. She will attend from the next week.
Okay. All right. So who all have done? Apurva and Arya are here who has done this, and Garvita. Right. So let's start with Garvita first because she's all by herself. So let her present and then we will come to both of you.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Very good evening.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. So today I'm going to present case study of Google in front of all of you. So let's start with the introduction part. I'm going to talk about whether correlation of job rates is an excellent idea or not. And then I'll talk about whether benefits at Google are an unnecessary cost or an effective employment engagement and retention tool. Then I'll talk about Google approaches to recruitment and selection. Then 5 HR policies and practices that Google has implemented or should implement to support its strategy. After that, we'll talk about factors to take into consideration while transferring its culture and reward system. And at the last, I'll talk about some specific activities I suggest they pursue during employee orientation. Let's begin with correlation of job traits, whether it's an excellent idea or not. In my view, it is an excellent idea, especially with Google's urgent need to hire employees for their expansion. The current hiring process is very time consuming. Although it is efficient, it takes very long, it is time consuming, it takes very long and may cause the potential employee to get bored and make him or her look for a job elsewhere. When Google was a startup company and as it developed, it needed to have only employees that fulfill the company's need. As it developed, it hired many employees and all have gone through a long and rigorous set of interviews. Through hiring process, it has been discovered that all Googlers share certain traits, and it has taken many years to select each qualifying employee. So the new use of job correlation will allow Google to only look at those individuals that portray the traits company requires to succeed. Now we'll talk about benefits, whether they are an unnecessary cost or not. In my view, Google's benefit structure was and still is a great attraction to new recruits into the business. However, like any business, there is an investment cost to employer that must be justified. Google's innovative benefits help attract best knowledge workers the world has to offer. And since Google's innovative from feeding government meals to handling other time-consuming personal chores to allow them to focus to spend most of their time at work, which means higher return on investment. Also, a happy employee is a productive employee, not to forget. Since Googlers have wide variety of interests both inside and outside organization, so a unique benefit package allow them to handle their busy lives and allow them to focus on things they only love to do. Recent studies have showed that work-life balance and uh, social, socially, socially, um, socially responsible employment practices are aspects that affect employee commitment and employee retention. Investment on initiatives that drive quality of life and ultimately employee retention is the necessary cost to any business. Hence, it has been proven that benefits at Google are effective attraction, satisfaction, and retention tools. Now we'll talk about recruitment and selection. Google's approach to recruitment and selection. First is the referrals. The firm's strong brand coupled with its highly enthusiastic workforce provide for the basis which employee refers colleagues and other professionals, and the referral bonus of $2,000, and this helps in the motivation and as well as increase the current database of potential candidates, which inevitably increase the talent pool. College recruitment. Google have established direct relationship with large number of universities through which it hire a large number of PhDs so that they can enjoy exploring areas that no one has explored before. Professional networking. Google uses social sites and social live professional events where it discover and hire top performers. Recruiter training. Google is amongst a few companies which requires their newly hired recruiter to go through extensive recruiter training program before starting work, prior to starting work. Some HR policies and practices Google has implemented, attractive perks and good incentives for achieving goals. Time to time, Google employees who complete their projects on time or perform their achieve their goals are provided with good incentives. Employee promotion, hiring, and transfer strategy. Any individual who wants to join Google organization should have multi-talents with some self-confidence, with prior experience at other organization added with Google's experience. They promote that employee at very perfect position. Excellent management style with happy work environment. Google always focuses on maintaining happy work environment so that every person can contribute its best output, can give its best output what an actual company needs. Giving a taste of culture. Everyone in company seems to enjoy what they do, and people sincerely believe that they can make a difference. And it is extremely motivating to know that, to show up every day and knowing that their work will be seen by thousands of millions of people. Thirst for data. Google work pillars are knowledge and data. All people decisions in the Google are made by data and analytics. Factors to be taken into consideration while transferring its culture and system abroad. There are 4 factors that needs to be taken into consideration are international laws, cultural differences, international taxation issues, and the differences for not being able to provide same kind of benefits to all of them. Some steps I suggest that they should pursue during employee orientation are: first stage is induction stage. It has 3 approaches and it can take place in 3 ways. Like it can be in verbal or in written or in audio-visual form. Verbal can take place in person or in groups. Written, continuous reference can be made to material used. Audiovisual combines both verbal and written approaches. Next stage is onboarding stage. It has 3 levels called 4 Cs. The degree with which organization employ these use these 4 building blocks determines organization onboarding strategy. First one is compliance. Compliance is to teach basic legal and policy related issues. Classification ensures employee understand their new jobs and relative expectations. Culture provides employee with sense of organizational norms, both formal and informal. Connection means interpersonal relation and information networks that new employee must establish. Third is buddy and co-worker. Buddy or co-worker coupled with handbook or policy manual. A buddy or co-worker can be carefully selected and trained to carry out responsibility as Google look for team-based employee traits, coupled with handbook or policy manual, which must be regularly updated. Feedback and support system, not to forget place and not to practice place and forget them approach, because it leads to the high employee turnover. Thank you.
Okay. That's good. All right. So go ahead, Apurva and Ade. Now your turn.
Ma'am, I am having an issue with my presentation. Which can you give me just 5 minutes?
Sure.
I don't know where it has. Okay, ma'am. Arya, did I send you? Have I sent you the final PPT?
नहीं दीदी.
Kapita, you were displaying what happened.
Did you say something?
No, I said to Apurva. She was just displaying the PPT. No? In the meantime, till she finds her PPT, let's discuss about this case. So, what is it that you have understood so far? So, let's start with Arya and then we'll move ahead with everyone. So, what's your opinion, Arya?
Ma'am, like this case study deals means dealt
Losing onto your voice, yeah.
for call आ रहा. Ma'am, firstly, this case study deals with very means a lot of stages, like as recruiters, like it deals with how an organization runs and what are the things which it actually needed to run smoothly. Like it dealt with how the personality traits are important in recruiting people, and like what are the important selection points. And it also, like, it teaches based on the case study, of course, which we did. It was the question was like, how would you go for like what methods you're gonna use for recruiting people if you were given a chance. And like based on these, I would answer these two questions, like what my views were on this. Like first one was personality trait. So I believe that personality trait is a very good method of analyzing how your candidate is, because nowadays personality gives an accuracy of at least 78% in knowing how your candidate's future job performance will be, right? Because the combination of the cognitive ability and the personality is something which actually depicts how your performance will be.
Right.
So this is very important. It also tells about the candidate, how open he is, how stable he is, his problem solving methods, his approach towards something, and how he will relate himself to other workers in the or the other employees in the company. So I think this is one of the very good method of this method. And the second was like, if I were given a chance. So I was reading the methods of like recruiting employees. So I got to know about internal sources. So these sources were something that we need to hire people, rehire people from our company also only, like that we meant by internal sources. So I think this is very important, or very good method, because by this way the workers who are actually working in our company will also get the motive of doing so good. And we can check, go for checking that how much one worker has actually progressed. So on that basis we can give him the promotion, and this will also generate a competition between employees to do best. So first of all, before going for hiring people from outside, we need to look into our organization, the people who have developed themselves, because this is very important, because maybe we can get people from inside only who can fulfill our requirements, the suitability for the job which we are looking outside. Then there are of course various sources outside, like the media, internet, um, employment agencies through which we can hire people. So this is the thing. And also it actually there it was dealing that if an organization who an abroad sorry a foreign organization if wants to set up his company in abroad, so what are the incentives, or what are the measures he gonna take, that company will take to fully establish itself. So I think first one is socio-culture methods, like knowing what are the regional cultures, or how the people are, what are their beliefs, motives, because these are the things which very much affect a person. Also the political stability of that country, how the system is there, the economic policies, the rules, regulations, and the licensing system of that particular country. Also we need to the rules and regulations are very important, because now for take example for India, like India is creating special economic zones for attracting MNCs, which provide so many different measures and facilities so they can fully or easily establish themselves. So these are some the competition, the regional competition, which is very important, that what kind of competition they're going to face. And very important, they have to know the what are the needs of that regional area, through which, like regional needs of the customers, we can say, like what are the products they can require, like. So I think these are the very best way of setting up a company, like you can directly target the requirements of the people, so it will it will help your company to boost up. So that's what I have discussed. Thank you.
Very good. So good. You have read some book or some online material, which is really good. I like the research being done.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tripti, what's your issue? What's your opinion, views on the case?
My views on this case study is how much important is the if I recruit any employee, so how much important to know about know about him, who are he, and know about the character traits of his. And why is it important? Because if he if if he is clear to know, if he is clear about his character traits, so by which we can know how he deal with the people, how he work in our organization, and where he will be if he joins our company. And ma'am, the how Google works, what is the function of the Google, and how implies treat. Ma'am, that's it.
Your voice is going in between. Could not hear the last two lines.
Ma'am, I'm audible?
Yeah, now it's better.
Yes, ma'am. So what I was saying, ki, ma'am, by this case study, I know about how Google works, and what are the functions of the Google, and how employees work here, and the benefits which is given to the employee by the organization.
Right. That's all you have written. What have you written in your solution of the case study?
I have only written why the personal traits is important, why we should know how is the employee, and what he has done in his organization. And second one see how we recruit a bright employee in our organization,
Hmm.
and the practices we should be follow the company for the employee.
All right. Yes, Apurva, ready?
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So get set, go. Both of you, it's your turn.
Okay. I'm presenting the screen. Ma'am, is
Yeah.
it visible?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay. Hello and good evening to all. Today I, Apurva,
And I, Arya.
we both are here to discuss a case study on an eminent MNC called Google. So before beginning with the case study, let's get little familiar with the MNC Google. So it's quite funny to tell that I want to get you all familiar with the company, because I bet that there's nobody who hasn't heard of the name Google. So let's know that Google is basically an American technology multinational company which majorly focused on AI, and it includes the areas of searches, operating systems, and advertising, and many other more. Now let's get into some facts regarding Google. So if we talk about the net worth of the Google, so in the financial year 2020, it had a net worth of $1,210 billion, and almost 135,000. It employs almost 135,000 full-time staffs and many other interns as well. And one of its achievement is that it has 91.56% of the search engine market share worldwide. And also, how can we forget that it was ranked hashtag number one in the category of best place to work for 6 consecutive years, which tells us that it provides a great condition with great benefits for workers to work at. And how can we forget that? Like, there is a proud moment for us whenever we talk about Google, that the CEO, who is Sundar Pichai, is an Indian, is a person of Indian origin. So let's now that we are familiar with the company, let's now look at some problems faced by the company and try and solving them. Now, I'd like to call upon Arya on the board to deal with the very first question.
So the very first question is that how the Google uses the personal traits from the employees' answers on the survey to their performance, like how they are using the personal traits as a method of as a method for recruiting the candidates. So first of all, it actually gives an idea of what the employee thinks, because what he has written depicts what he is thinking. It also gives an idea to the recruiters that how the candidate will be the top performer or not, and whether he will be able to merge into the culture of the company or not. It also helps to know about the interests of the candidate, and also we know that various interest tests are designed to know the level of specialization and the preference for the occupation. Also, it helps to determine the short and long-term individual goals of the candidate towards the organization, because this is very important. Like, take for an example, like if you are dealing with a candidate and you ask that where do he see himself in next 5 years, and if he answers that he wants to start up his own company, so I think so then and there you will be clear that his matter of interest are not compatible to your organization, because he focuses more on his personal goals and developments rather than the organization. So in the mind of recruiter, it automatically comes that uh, he is not fully committed to the organization. So there somewhere we know about how the candidate is, and it will surely help in understanding. Now, second is the personality trait as a predictor of future job success. So this quote is very famous. Nowadays, personality, of course, depicts a lot of things about a candidate or a person. So this method can be very much used, and this method is now has removed the traditional method of like hiring the hiring a candidate. It actually gives it actually tells about how the person is. It tells about how their behavior in the workplace will be, how their problem solving decision will be, their approach towards their other colleagues, and how they are managing their emotions, because managing emotions is a very tough job, since we are facing a lot of pressures in our personal life outside, and then like working with pressures in a workplace is a very tough job. So you really need to work on it, and you really need to know how to handle the pressure. Moreover, a study in 2016 depicts that the personality trait method is a good method of using it as a hiring method, because the other methods can give only 16% accuracy, but the cognitive ability and the personality will give you the 78% accuracy in the future job performance prediction. So this method is a very good method and can be really used in hiring or in recruiting candidates. Thank you. So next question will be headed by Apurvadi.
Thank you, Arya. Very well explained. So now that we have done with the first question, let's see what other problems or what other things the case study has to say. So basically, the question two says that
Your voice is not clear. Apurva. A lot of disturbance coming in. Still not clear. Some disturbance along with the voice. I think the audio thing is not connected properly.
is it now? Hello.
Not very clear again.
Hello. Am I
Yeah.
audible now?
Yes, now it's better. Yeah.
Okay. So this very well. The first question is very well explained by Arya. Now let's see some more problems which are faced by the company. So the second question says that since we are already aware that Google has been ranked one for providing best conditions for the workers to work at, but everything you provide has a cost. So the Google providing best working condition for its employees has also to spend a lot of money for that. So as an HR, if we have to defend that the money spent is worth it, so what are the things which we can put in to the analyst? So here are some points. So the very first one is key attract talent. If a company like Google, which requires a lot of talent and it has to attract a lot of, so in order to attract a lot of talent, we need to provide handsome salaries, good work incentives, great benefits. Because again, if the kind of workers which we want, the kind of work the Google wants from them requires to be paid, so the worker are required to be paid a handsome salary. So the very first reason is to attract talent. And once you are up for attracting talent, the more you pay, the more people from every nook and corner of the country will wish to come to your organization. And once we'll have diversity, so it's very evident that if we'll have more diversity, we'll have more people from different backgrounds. And again, if we have more people from different backgrounds, they'll have more experience to solve the problems which they have already faced in their background. So we have more venue for problem solved, and not just problem solved, but more innovations. So let's come on the other reason. So the other reason is that if we provide handsome salary, so we are obviously going to get ahead of our competitors. We are going to get more better talent, and this is the reason why Google has the best talent and the best workforce as compared to its competitors. And again, again, if we provide a good salary, we'll have more people. And again, if we have more people, if we are providing them good salary, so we'll again come back and bounce back to the place of number one for providing best place to work at. And also, if we provide, like, again, if you have to, as we know that ki if we follow soft HRM policies, then more benefits have to come. We are open for more benefits, and again, it will cost something, but we know that ki what will be the cost, the pay or the return will be more, because soft HRM policies have proven to be better. For example, let's say if we consider a company which has hard HRM policies, that is Samsung, but it has long working hours, it has less incentives, they just pay money. But if we talk about Google, so it also pays money, and it gives, unlimited sick leaves. If people are sick, they can take leave. And again, so all these things provide better workforce, and a workforce which is always ready to take up challenges. The last but not the least is key to increase working hour. Like, suppose Google is a company which is number based, like the workers have to play with numbers, they have to busy being they have to get busy doing calculations, solving tedious mathematical equations. So if you want the resilient, if you want to make them more efficient, you have to pay them, you have to bring in something which will really motivate them to keep working harder and harder. Like, as mentioned in the case study, it was written that even if you go at the hall, there will be engineers working over there even at 3 a.m. So of course, to boost their energy, to provide them resilience, to bounce back tomorrow with the same efficiency, you need to pay them. So yeah, these were the reasons which would really defend that paying to the workers a handsome salary and great initiatives will prove to be beneficial. So Aryan, I would like to call you on the platform. Please take up the next question.
Okay, so the third question is that if you wanted to hire the brightest people around it, how would you go about hiring them? So there are various methods of hiring the candidates. There are two methods generally known. First one is internal sources, and second one is external sources. So internal sources is finding about the candidates which are within your company, rehiring them, and then also the successful planning. So what we need to do in the internal sources is that we need to find out the candidates who are actually working in your country, in your company, who have developed themselves uh, beforehand, and they are really looking forward for promotions. Like, instead of going out, like instead of moving ahead to the external sources, you really need to look into your own company. Maybe you can get more intelligent people, rather suitable for the job criteria which you are actually searching for the external from the external sources. It will also it also has a plus point that it will enhance the workforce of your company. It will motivate the workers to do more better, because they know that someday they will get the promotion. They can be the they can get to the post they actually wanted. So first one is the internal sources, and now coming to the external sources, we have the unsolidated applications. You get many applications, then employees referrals and recommendations, like you're getting recommendation from an employee that that candidate is good is good suited for the job criteria which you have offered. The advertisement, the media, the internet, the various sites like LinkedIn, Naukri.com. So these are the various sites which offer candidates, so you can go for that. Also the employment agencies which offer many candidates for the job for the suitable jobs which you have offered. Now coming to the selection process, we have first one we have is preliminary interview. So preliminary interview happens at the reception or the counter. It actually picks out the suitable candidates um, from all the candidates who have come to give the interview. Then the application blank, a form is given to the candidate to fill, and it actually bears all kind of information about the candidate, like from where he is, what are his characteristics, what are his motives. So it actually tells about it adds up to the information which you wanted from the candidate. Now the employment test. So employment tests are of various kinds, like it is the ability test, aptitude test, various intelligence test, you give like the assignments which you offer to candidates for testing their ability, personality tests. So all this test comes under employment test. Now employment interview, so this is a more ahead, this is a step ahead than the employment test. It is, you can take it in the form of structured interview or semi-structured interview. Like it actually gives an additional information about the candidate, like which candidate is suited for the which job. Like if you have offered jobs in finance manager, like a sales department, so like there are so many candidates coming, so this process will actually tells you which candidate is suited for which department. Now comes the reference check. Like reference check is something, if a candidate is coming with someone else reference or recommendation, so here you can check the reference. Now medical examination. So medical test is something which actually happens in all the uh, region, in many things. Like if you go for some like in army tests and various tests, and also this medical examination is very much like uh, important in these companies also, because the employee which is working in your company, it's very important to know about his health. The if he is suffering from any disease, like any chronic disease or any disease which he is suffering, so the record has to be maintained. And then the final selection is done after crossing all the phases of the selection process. Thank you.
Now let's come on the other question. So it is basically, we have to list the 5 HR policies or practices that Google follows to support its growth and expansion strategy. See, whenever a company comes up, it is very innovative at the starting or at the initial stages. It is also enthusiastic, but as the company grows older, once it is start achieving its each and every goal, so there comes a period where it starts lagging behind. So there comes the role of HR or the role of business developer, which who has to come up with practice to maintain the same enthusiasm, to maintain people, to retain people in their company. So these are some of the policies offered by HR of Google. So let us look at the very first, that is scientific driven selection methods. So what is basically the scientific driven selection method is like any other company, while hiring for its employees, it looks for the skills possessed by the employees. It looks at the qualifications. But what Google does is it not only takes into consideration the skills and qualification, rather it also wishes to know about the passion of the candidate, the vision ahead of the candidate, the background from which it comes. So all of these things, and these are the things, or these are the categories which make the employees a Googler. Like the people getting into the other companies hiring people call them employee or employer, but here the people who are getting into the organization, they are called Googlers. And once they are gone through the training and successional development, so they are termed as Googleans. So Googleans basically are who have got into the culture of Google. So it has proven really great, as Arya has also mentioned, that it has proven great and it has been very beneficial for collecting the best workforce out of the whole world. Now, the second policy followed is diversity and inclusion. So, as already mentioned, more the diversity, more will be the avenues for problem solving, more will be the avenues for innovations. This we have already talked about. Coming on, the next is work-life balance. As already mentioned, that the soft HRM policies, which provides a good number of holidays, which provides time for the person to come back with same enthusiasm, really proves to be better than the hard HRM policies. The next one, which is my favorite, which I like the most about Google, it pays also for innovations. Like whether the product which has been produced out of your innovation is working good in the market or not, that hardly matters. But even if you have come with an innovation, you will be paid for it. So Google is always up for people who are innovative, and it always enhances its employees to come up with innovations. And not just innovations. Suppose there is a candidate who is not good at a particular area. He is not good at a particular work area. So he will be provided with assistance by foreign speakers, foreign influencers, so that he get he gets good at that, and he is also at par level with the other with other employees, and he is also up with the innovations. Now the last but not the least one is the two vulnerable places. As you've seen in the case study that some of the employees who are becoming millionaire only at the age of 25 to 30, they are starting thinking to leave the organization and start their own startup career. They are willing to start their own entrepreneurial career, but it is really it is harming the organization, because organization has spent on them, organization has built them, but once they're leaving the organization, it is bad for us, bad for the for Google. So what is one policy which Google can follow is Google can take these employees to on different occasions to different tours, like for tours at the vulnerable places, where they can go and see how vulnerable the situation is. Like there are people who are not able to even meet their basic necessities. So this would motivate them to work for the not just become money minded, but also to serve the country and serve the organization and serve the people more. So next question, Arya, please take up.
Okay. So now, what sort of factors Google will take into consideration if Google or any company can take up for consideration if that company is planning to establish its new branch in abroad or in another country? So the first is socio-cultural needs. So socio-cultural needs basically depicts the regional culture, the social motives, the social needs of people who are living around, to which of the country in which the company is planning to reset itself. Now the regional customer needs, like this is very important. Like if a company wanted to establish itself in a particular region, so it actually needs to know about the product needs or the needs of the people, like if in a particular reason, if something is not available, and if you are providing that or if you are filling that availability, then of course customers will attract to you. Now the third is political stability. Political stability is very important because it deals with the ruling government which is there in the particular country or in the particular government. Because if there is instability in the government system, then of course there will be always the formulation of policies, new policies will come. There will be so much hustle bustle in the system, and it will automatically affect the company, because to set up a company you really need to follow the rules and regulations of that particular state. There are so many rules and regulations made, like I have also mentioned rules, regulations, and licensing system, which are very much affected by this political stability. Then the availability of resources are very much important. Like before setting up your company over there, you need to check out that what are the resources which are available at that particular region which you need for your company. And then study the competition from past and present, like the competition which was there in that particular region past time and the present time, the competition from which countries or which companies, or what are the things you're gonna face as your competition. You need to focus on that too. Then favorable salary, of course you need to give the favorable salary and check out the economic system of that area. And this is very important. Like if the for take an example, like if the prices are hiring in that particular region, like if there is a scene of inflation in that particular region, and if you're not increasing your salaries, then of course people will not work in your company, because people work in a place just to better their standard of living. And of course that standard of living will be better when they earn more than they spend, right? Or they have something more than their expenditure. So you always need to cope up with the rates in the market, like with the market price, the inflation. So these are the things which you really need to keep in your mind. Now localize your ideas, vision, and expectations. So even if as a person or as an institution, you really need to have a vision, idea, and expectations from others. You need to have your vision, like what people can see in yourself, to which they need to be in your company. So that's very important. So this is the thing. Thank you.
So this question deals with the values and cultures that Google cherishes, and we need to pursue some activities which we can organize during the orientation of an employee. So the very first activity which we can do is, which we can create, is that we can create talent acquisition programs. Like, talking about Google, it is a multinational company. Like, it's out it or its organizations are all over the world, spread all over the world. So organizing talent acquisition programs which will of course have which will be based on the theme or the culture of that particular country where the organization is, will really be beneficial, because people working over there will not feel that we are working in a foreign company. They'll feel connected to their roots. And then once you're connected with your roots as well as your organization, it really creates a balance, and that is good. So this can be a great activity. Then an alternate days quizzes could be organized, which will keep workers involved in the process of orientation, which they'll learn in a better way because they know that quizzes are going to be held, and learning will also be there. And these quizzes can be organized in a games form, which will also bring some enthusiasm, which will bring enthusiasm in the lives of, or the working days of of the employees. The other one is key employee of the month. Like, we can organize some, or we can organize some employee of the month activities, like one who excels in every area while the orientation program, one who is able to cope up more with the culture of the organization and do well in all the areas, can be designated by the designation of employee of the month, and he can be provided with various rewards, incentives, bonus, etc. And the other one is tour to vulnerable places. As mentioned above, it is very good that even like in initial days only, if the minds of people is not money minded, they'll of course be connected more to the organization. They'll of course bring prosperity to both the organization as well as the country in which they are living in. So these were the four activities which I would suggest for. So that was it from our side. I hope we have done justice with the case study and we have brought in our perspective. Thank you, ma'am, for allotting this case study, because it helped us a lot. We could acquire so much knowledge and we could know about this industry in a better way. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very good. Well done. For the first time, this is the kind of feeling which I would have gotten in an MBA institute, where people are presenting and doing all that, right? So it's very important that things like this should happen more frequently. And the way you've researched about certain things, getting to know about what exactly are few words or few jargons of HR, to research about those things is very important. So first, thank you to Vanshika for sharing this case study. It was in one of the Gary Dessler's book, and without me reading it, she said she finds it really good. So I said share it with everyone, and then they can present. So I have never read this case study before, and that's when we decided that we will share. So thank you to Vanchika for that. And unfortunately, she's not able to present today. But why we chose this case study to give to you all is, very importantly, as I said, in the initial days, since the very start, I'm telling you this thing, that it gets very difficult for us to take you through each and every jargon, each theory, each model that we study in human resource management related to each chapter that we are going to go through. I am trying to give you more of a practical view of how it is to be done, how you can actually handle and do that. But reading all this theory is very important to understand that, how companies are actually utilizing all those scientific models, approaches, theories, and they are actually, it is for benefit of the employees of the organization. So whether it is term like socioeconomic, whether it is term like personal traits, correlation of these personal traits with job and each, so these are few things that everybody should know when they are studying in HR, and that's why my emphasis is always on that. Whatever we are studying here, I'm giving you presentation. I'll try to send you some practical notes also along with that. So some forms and formats, how we actually create those forms and formats, appointment letters, offer letters, so that you can go through all that. That in real time, in practical world, how these things work. But side by side, accepting and reading these books is really, really very important. So Gary Dessler has done really wonderful job of writing a book. So, and it's a free online version which is available. That's what Vanchika got found out. So you can always get in touch with Vanchika and she can share that ebook version with you. If you do not want to buy that book, it's freely available on internet, right? The ebook version. So you can go through it, at least read. See, side by side, if you start reading the chapters, for example, if you're reading DNY, so you can start reading DNY. So it will give you perspective that how companies are actually utilizing. After every chapter, Gary Dessler has put in some case studies from the real world. Like this one, Google one is in the selection and recruitment. Then I think DNY maybe कोई होंगी बहुत सारी अच्छी case studies. We will try and do those case studies here, at least one each. But otherwise, also, if you could pick up that book, that would be really great. And yes, thank you so much, Apurva and Arya, for doing wonderful presentation. Very, very impressive. Right? It's just that I found a little bit less practice being done. That's the only thing which I felt. But other than that, how you have created it, how you put it across, the presentation and everything was really wonderful. Both of you could able to make sense out of that case study, how you answer the questions and all that. So that's really very, very good. I would like to see such efforts done by everyone. So Tripti and Javita, why are your cameras off again? If somebody is presenting, doesn't mean that you do that.
Ma'am, I have used my data. That's why.
Acha, okay. I was doing it because my dog was coming on me. So because I was quiet and he said, why I'm quiet. So he just came on to me. That's why I had to stop my camera for a bit in between. But I was listening to everything that you were saying. All right. So thank you so much. Gavita, yours was very good too. And I really like how you have presented it on your own. But because it's a team effort, so I want to see that kind of a team efforts coming in. The idea behind giving case study to a team, I would have easily given to each one of you individually. But when you work in an organization, you have to work on many projects, individually in a team, and you have to work remotely also in that ways, right? So try and find out how the ways of getting along with each other, taking out time, and putting your support to each other. And that's when you are able to. I know Vanchika is not well. That's an unfortunate thing which has happened to her. But otherwise, I would love to see the presentations by both of you. But whatever content you had shown, it was really good. Very well done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please stop the share screen. I'll share my screen. I'll continue with DNY. We will complete that topic today. You want to take a break right now and come back? Yeah, so just take a break for 10 minutes. Let's come back. It's 7:20, so 7:30 we will do. The class will go on till 8:15. We will try and complete the topic by 8:15 as we started late, right? So come back in 10 minutes and then we'll start.
Okay, ma'am.
Are you guys back? Shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So this is where we ended the class yesterday on the best practices that we were discussing, that what all organizations do for bringing diversity and inclusion in the organization is these things basically. So I think this slide we have done, but I'm just repeating it so that it can recollect and start from there. So number one is free treatment, fair treatment. Fair treatment means that everybody whosoever is in the organization should feel equally a part of the organization. Everybody should get respect that they want to have within the company. Second is equal access to opportunity. Everybody, whosoever is doing really well, their performance and productivity is eventually and evidently shown in the organization. It is very important for all the organizations to look into the perspective that everybody is equally accessible to opportunities, forgetting about what is their background, from where they come in, what kind of culture they belong to. Then teamwork and collaboration. Until unless we have not worked on teamwork and collaboration, it gets very difficult for organizations to really show and showcase the talents that they have. Also, they are not able to produce as much good work that they are supposed to do. Hence, teamwork and collaboration. See, no matter which area of life we go into, till the time we do not have teamwork, we do not have collaboration amongst each other, it gets very difficult to survive individually within the system. Then a focus on innovation and creativity. Very importantly, and why we are discussing that diversity and inclusion brings innovation and creativity is purely because of the fact that none of the areas, people who have faced so much of challenges, people who have gone through difficult times since the very start of their education or their upbringing in the society, they automatically have that decision making, better problem solving powers to them. And hence, they bring much better innovation and creativity to the system, not negating that the normal human beings don't, but it is just that if the organization is focusing more on innovation and creativity, they should open their arms for embracing diversity and inclusion very, very openly. Then organization flexibility, responsiveness, and agility. Again, we spoke about it yesterday that flexibility in terms of adapting to new things is really important for every organization. Right? If you are seeing that people are going environmental friendly, a lot of organizations are becoming in that ways where people are talking and building their infrastructure also in a manner which is very conducive to the environment. So why not be that flexible and bring in everything that is really really important for the society as a whole. So organizations should not run business purely because they have to earn profit and profitability and productivity. They should also have some percentage of contribution that they are giving to the society as a whole. Then responsiveness is very important. So responsiveness means accepting the faults, accepting the mistakes, accepting the feedbacks, accepting that we are not doing something wrong, right? And we have to get more people, much better people. We have to get much better systems. We have to get much better things in alignment, which can go into the organization, which can bring much more better results for the long run, right? So if you are facing difficulty in terms of hiring the right kind of talent, why not open up the areas from where, for diversity and inclusion, from where you can hire more people who are skilled, who can actually bring much better innovation and creativity as well as collaboration with the organization. Then agility. Agility is organization's way of getting adapted to the new systems. So it's very important. So जैसे अभी artificial intelligence आ गया है. Now what is artificial intelligence suddenly? Right? For example, छोटा सा example देते हैं. You want to search something uh, like suppose you're planning to shop something from Mintra, right? Let's see, take an example. अब आपने मिंत्रा ऐप अपने फोन पे डाउनलोड कर लिया and you start searching for some clothes or shoes, whatever you want to buy. Now, immediately, what will happen if you have Facebook or Instagram or any other social media? All these platforms will start showing you advertisement of Myntra very specifically. It will start because that's how artificial intelligence works. कि आपने एक search डाला, आपने ऐप में कुछ ढूंढना start किया, and rest all social media will take that. So artificial intelligence works so smartly that they will pick up whatever you are searching without you even knowing about it. Right? So this is how people say that our privacy has gone to a toss where everything is being heard by these companies. So अगर आपका कैमरा ऑन है और आप यहाँ कुछ बोल रहे हो, so that means it is being heard, it is being recorded somewhere. And artificial intelligence in future might use whatever you have spoken today in your searches or in whatever you are doing from now onwards on internet. Right? So this is the agility of organization, that if artificial intelligence is something new which is going to take very good shape in the coming years also. 5-6 साल में बहुत ले लिया है, आने वाले टाइम में और भी ज्यादा हो जाएगा. So there are so many things जो हम नहीं कर सकते as a human. Artificial intelligence के through they will be able to do it. So why not to adapt to those systems and make your team ready for that thing, right? And that is the meaning of agility, that whatever is going new, whatever is going hip hop, whatever is going really, really possible can bring, things differently for you. Why not to do that? Why not to bring that in the system? Why not to adapt to those things in the company? Right? And then next is basically talking about evidence of leadership's commitment to diversity. Now, this is the point where we stopped our class yesterday. So I want to bring it your contribution to this basically, that evidence of leadership's commitment to diversity is very, very vast area which is being not done correctly in many organizations. So like we discussed it yesterday also in the class, that a lot of time it happens, a lot of times like somebody of you asked this question ki HR kya kar sakta hai if the leadership is not ready to bring that thing. So we can do a lot of things in terms of bringing the facts and figures in front of them. So for example, this case study, if you see Google's case study, Google is very successful company, not because just their products and services that they are offering. They are also very successful because they are also bringing the kind of solutions that they need to bring in terms of HR. It is very important that HR practices, the kind of things that we bring into the company are given that much of importance, and without which all the organization, the leadership should understand that the company will not really, go through the level that it has to. Right? Things will not really take that kind of a thing. So it's very important that every leader should get involved into the diversity and bring that change that is required to be done for the organization. Then representation of diversity at all levels of the organization. Again, as part of the example that I shared with you, it's very important that you are creating or maintaining somebody as part of the head of diversity, or somebody who can actually run those programs individually or with the team. uh, Maybe make it as a part of the human resource management, एक अलग function बना के HR का, जैसे employee relations होता है, training and development अलग function है, we can make another function from diversity and inclusion, and head should be headed by somebody who is senior, who understands what are the things, who understand what kind of biases goes into this, who understands each and everything, and then the participation should come from all levels of the organization. And when we say all levels of organization, majorly कहाँ problem आता है जहाँ पे labors include हो जाते हैं, लेबर्स के लेवल पे उनका जो रिप्रेजेंटेशन होता है वो ठीक से नहीं हो पाता है. सो वी हैव टू इंश्योर जो हमारा शॉप फ्लोर लेवल है, जो सबसे डाउन लेवल ऑफ हायरार्की होता है, जहाँ सबसे ज्यादा फिजिकल वर्क हो रहा होता है, प्रोडक्शन वर्क हो रहा होता है, वहां पर भी लोगों को इस चीज की जानकारी हो कि डाइवर्सिटी एंड इंक्लूजन इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. देन आता है आपका डाइवर्सिटी एजुकेशन एंड ट्रेनिंग. Ensure that when you are in an organization, it's your responsibility as an HR that complete education and training on diversity and inclusion is going forward to everyone. People should be sensitive enough to understand what I'm talking, what I'm speaking, in with whom I'm talking, what kind of jokes I'm cracking with my friends within the organization, whether I'm going a little obscene, whether I'm in my limit. So all these things have to be given proper education and training. Also, training on biases. It's very important for people to realize and understand what kind of unconscious biases they have to face. I am not going into the detail of all the biases because in performance management system there is a complete topic of 13 biases, and Hardik sir will take you through that. So I'm not really going into the detail, otherwise duplication हो जाता है. Then here representation of diversity among internal and external stakeholders. So very importantly, it's basically a part of the same thing, that representation of diversity should be there from all levels. So external stakeholders को भी पता होना चाहिए कि that you are the champions of diversity and inclusion. If you have this policy, that means this policy is talking about what you have to bring into the organization in terms of inclusion. डाइवर्सिटी तो सबको पता होता है, बट मेजर प्रॉब्लम्स कहाँ आती है जहाँ हम इंक्लूजन्स नहीं कर पाते हैं. द इंक्लूसिविटी has gone to zero, or it's not really done in a proper manner. Not many examples we discussed yesterday. I'll share a case study with you today. Maybe we will just go through it and read it here, and then you guys can present it next week. This case study will tell you the entire importance of why these kind of policies are very, very important for the organization. Now top 3 barriers in implementation. क्या आते हैं? अभी तक हमने benefits पढ़ लिया, problems पढ़ लिए, but major problems जब हम diversity and inclusion को introduce करा रहे होते हैं system के अंदर, what are the 3 problems that comes in? Because these 3 are the biggest. उसके अलावा भी बहुत होते हैं. So number 1 is middle management fails to execute diversity programs adequately. तो लीडरशिप टीम ने या किसी हेड ऑफ डाइवर्सिटी ने बना दिया सब कुछ, सारा प्लान इज रेडी, एवरीथिंग इज बीइंग डन, स्ट्रेटजीज आर देयर, but then who is basically failing to execute it is the middle management and the lower management, and they don't do it. And when they stop doing anything which is requiring implementation of those policies at the shop level with people, then obviously everything just lies in the papers. It's all there, it looks good, you are actually getting a lot of popularity because of this, but when some people comes into your organization and see that it just a complete just the frivolous kind of a thing where you are just showing everything on paper and not maintaining and working adequately in terms of implementation of those policies and process related to diversity and inclusion, right? For example, the same thing like we talked about yesterday, that you hired somebody in the system from these groups, from diverse groups, and then you do not have your infrastructure, basic infrastructure ready for them. So that is, things like just on the papers, not being able to implement in the system properly. या फिर आपकी कंपनी में सारी पॉलिसीज हैं, प्रोसेसेस हैं, बट व्हेन समबडी, फॉर एग्जांपल, you found out that somebody is gay in the company and there are people who are always making fun of it, bullying ho rahi hai. So these things has to be reduced to a level, and only HR and the team members who are basically working on diversity and inclusion can help educate people, tell them sensitive areas, what not to speak. So all those things can really help in terms of execution of diversity programs. Second point है जो barrier बन जाता है इस DNY के लिए is budgetary issues. So company ने सब कुछ decide कर दिया, again everything is written down on paper, strategies ready है, but funds नहीं है diversity और inclusion को करने के लिए. दो extra ऐसा कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा funds की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है because it becomes a part of your organization as such. बट इनिशियल ईयर्स में जब हम इस पे बहुत ज्यादा प्रेशर डाल रहे होते हैं या इस पे फोकस डाल रहे होते हैं, दैट्स व्हेन यू रिक्वायर सम एक्स्ट्रा फंड्स फॉर दैट. So I feel that most of the organization who says that they do not have budgets or funds to do good for diversity and inclusions are just creating an excuse of not doing. Then third आता है too focused on survival in the current economy. Many organizations are facing this challenge, especially India में बहुत सारे startups हैं, not many organizations which are there, which are failing to create that kind of a what do you call it, the product and service or the kind of work that they are doing, they're not really able to get that kind of a foundation here because of the economy problems that we are facing right now. And these economic problems you can see and face it, see is that because worldwide जो भी हो रहा है उसका impact यहाँ पे भी पड़ता है. So this Ukraine war which happened उसका impact आया एकदम से suddenly inflation became high. Now Sri Lanka is going through a lot of financial issues. उसका भी हमारे पे थोड़ा सा effect आएगा. So all those things has to be kept in mind that it is very important for organizations to stay completely good in the system, economic system. Recession का part नहीं बनना चाहिए. But then, I feel again, diversity and inclusion has no direct relation with कि अगर आप वहाँ से hire कर रहे हो diversity and inclusion से या लोग हैं आपके यहाँ पर तो उसका कोई current survival से कोई problem है. Then आता है आपका कि what exactly is this? Where exactly are we basically at? Just give me a moment. So this slide basically shows that how we can make people feel belong to an organization or any system for that matter. So what is inclusion, what is diversity, and what is equity, and how these things are different from each other, and what actually belongingness is all about. Right? So inclusion says that it is thoughts and ideas and perspective of all individuals that matters. Everybody has different kind of perspective, everybody has different ideas, different thoughts as per their cultural, religion, region, race, whatever background that they have, and that it should matter. Diversity says that multiple identities are represented. That means we have our representation everywhere. If there is somebody from disabled, they should have a representation. If somebody is LGBTQ, they should have a representation. So हर एक कंपनी में हर एक लोगों का होना बहुत जरूरी है. That system has to be there. So that is diversity. Then आता है equity, which means that fair treatment to all the people to ensure full participation and encouragement. So equity says that equal and balance होना चाहिए, fair treatment का, that everybody should be getting the same thing that is available in the organization. There should not be anything. Similar thing society में भी होना चाहिए, but unfortunately हमारा कितने I don't know करोड़ों सालों से चलता ही आ रहा है कि हम दलित को वो नहीं देंगे, हम शेड्यूल कास्ट को कुछ नहीं देंगे, बहुत सारी चीजें चलती रहती हैं. All everybody, every human who is born on this earth has the right to get fair treatment. They should have their right of ensuring full participation and advancement. No matter what caste, what creed, what kind of background, everything. There has to be there, it's a system. अब organizations में क्या होता है कि आपको उनको belongingness देना है. So what is belongingness? That means you are engaging full potential of the individual. जहाँ innovation हो रहा है, their views, beliefs, and values are integrated within the system. That's when the inclusion actually happens in the organization, when these three things meet at this point and it becomes belongingness. And that is the whole purpose of having DNY in the organization. That's the whole purpose of having these policies and procedures. That is the reason why it has been included into the system, because somewhere people started feeling that they are not really being given that kind of a value in the organization. Right? Like हमने कल डिस्कस किया कि अभी तो men and women में ही इतना प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है. This gender gap is so high that people are not being given full potential of the individual. They are not being engaged to the full potential. Imagine such vast country that we are. 50% of women are there and 50% of men. Still, those 50% of women are not being given equal opportunities in employment in organizations. Everywhere you go, there are thousands of people who are there. Men are more and women are less. And that's how these people are working for, I don't know, so long. And that's the major reason why some companies do not grow to the level where they should be. And you will see that हमारे जो टॉप एमएनसीज की हम वर्ल्ड में बात करते हैं उसके अंदर टॉप एमएनसीज के अंदर हमेशा बाहर की कंपनीज का नाम आता है, इंडियन कंपनीज का इतना ज्यादा नाम नहीं आता है, purely because of this reason that they do not have these kind of problems. They also have some at some extent. वहाँ रेसिज्म का ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम है, वहाँ कास्टिज्म का नहीं है, जेंडर का इतना नहीं है, बट वहाँ रेसिज्म का बहुत ज्यादा है, ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट एंड अफ्रीकन्स अमेरिकन्स ऑल दोस थिंग्स. So that's not, but still that is also a part of diversity and inclusion कि वो भी होना चाहिए equally, उसको भी इतनी importance मिलनी चाहिए. Right, so that's how this chapter ends here. You have some questions, please let me know so that I can answer those questions today, and then I want you to take you to this case study, at least read this case study here, and then we can discuss this case study in the next class. Okay, so this is the case study. There are actually two case studies, very nice ones. Let's see, go through this and then we will discuss. So this basically is about Uber, the company that you are aware about. How they solve this problem of sexual discrimination in the workplace. Tripti Garvita, I hope you are reading.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me know once you read it, I'll then move it. Just scroll down. pet, his pet.
मैम एक मिनट
So Sheryl Sandberg is basically CEO of Facebook, COO of Facebook, and she's done really good work in terms of balancing the gender gaps and all that. And this book, Lean In, is very good book. If you ever get to read anything, it's a very good book on diversity and inclusion, and otherwise also for practical purposes. This paragraph is very important, which talks about proactively hiring and promoting more women. Right? These two. As a business owners, hold your HR team accountable and make sure they do the same. So it's very important that HR takes that complete onus of hiring more females into the system, more people from diversity and inclusion, not just women, people who are really, really looking forward. So I give you one example. We met one person who was really good in social media. We were hiring for one of the organization, and somebody recommended me that you will find this person good for your client. I said, yeah, please share the CV. That's no problems. She said, but there is a problem that he's a gay. I mean, he's a transgender. I said, so what? If he's really good at his work, I don't mind whether he's a transgender or gay or things. And when I introduced him to the organization, I had to tell them that he has this thing because his name was a male name called Mustafa, but he used to call himself as Mus only because he feels that he's a female. And he used to dress up like that. So with a beard, he used to wear earrings and proper lipsticks and all that to complete a transgender kind of a thing. So it should not give a shock to the CEO, founders of the organization. So I told them that this is the thing, and they interviewed him so beautifully. Such interview was really, really beautiful experience. We could not hire him because of the expectation settings was not met. But other than that, it was really wonderful interaction that happened. Not him, her. Said, call me her. You will meet these kind of people, and now people have come out in open. Slowly, they are coming out more. So it's very important that we remove those biases from us and hence adapt them into the system. Yeah, so there is an example also here. And this is a very common example which is given that if a woman who is a leader shows her aggression, either people say कि इनके periods चल रहे हैं, that's why she is showing such attitude and aggressive. Yeah, it's a very common joke in corporates. Right? Or either she is very bossy. But if a male boss is showing such kind of aggression or emotional, it is more accepted. So it's an unconscious bias that goes. It always run like that. So the first time you hear such kind of biases, the first thing is to shut them out at that point in time. Immediately. Right? You have to have that kind of capability in your hand that you verbally are telling them that what you are thinking is absolutely wrong. The moment you start shutting them, slowly people will fall into their places. They will understand that things are in the right direction. Right? So this case study is basically to show where the Uber did wrong, how they actually thought that, so these short-term programs or giving value to your wife and all that, that give a break to a woman so that they don't cook in home. Again, unconsciously they are introducing a bias that only women can cook at home. The males are not really a cook. So it's really against the complete DNY practice that is there. DNY says whosoever is what, you have to accept that person at that level. And that is the reason why artificial intelligence can actually help us remove all these biases completely. But unfortunately, artificial intelligence, because it's artificial, done by people only. So some people अगर pre-feed कर देंगे उसके अंदर कि women को नहीं लेना है, diverse group को नहीं लेना है, तब भी वो गलत काम करेगा. So it is very important that the person who is handling AI should be able to remove those biases from themselves, and then they will be able to introduce change in the society. So this is all the case study that I wanted to give you. I hope you understood the point, what they are going to share from this. And then the other case study, I'll share it in the group. You have to give the solutions to that case. It is basically of a college where things went wrong because of not having proper diversity and inclusion processes and policies. Right? So similar kind of presentation next week on Sunday. So that's all for this thing. And yeah, I wanted to talk about POSH also. So diversity and inclusion ka very important part is prevention of sexual harassment policy. So there is a complete after that Shakha thing, I mean, do I name sure? Yeah, so 2012 wala case where this problem was faced by women. There were lot many gang rapes which were happening when women were coming back from BPO jobs or late night jobs in Delhi. Lot many things happened during that time. So then again, there was a change which was done in the prevention of sexual harassment policy. This actually, basically, this entire act was created during that time, 2012 and 13. And this act came into the picture. Wherever there are more than 10 women are working in the organization, it is mandate for every organization to have this policy, which is called POSH, POSH, which is prevention of sexual harassment at workplace. So the policy has certain guidelines and rules. I'll take you through it maybe next week quickly. Everyone time that can. Basically, the whole purpose of this policy is to safeguard the woman against any sexual harassment that happens. What kind of jokes, if somebody is showing you any kind of joke, sharing some kind of sexist joke, non-vegetarian, adult jokes, all those things should not be shared. They cannot show you any kind of porn. They cannot touch you without your consent. They cannot have any kind of group jokes against you as a woman. So right now the policy is more towards the woman, but many people are filing a petition that now it should include male members also. So the sexual harassment not necessarily happens to women. It can happen to any other gender also. It can happen to third genders or to male also. Many women leaders take advantage of juniors, male, who are reporting to them. So vice versa also happens. It's just that हमारा mindset ऐसा काम करता है कि women needs more because ज़्यादा होता है women के साथ. So that is the reason why this policy talks about that. But hopefully next एक दो साल में petitions डलेंगी तो the scope will get more wider in terms of people who should be falling under that. Many good organizations have already done that. So when they write their own policy on POSH internally, so they include both the genders and the other gender also. That any kind of thing that happens with the transgenders or also not. So biases में इंडिया के अंदर diversity and inclusion के अंदर या POSH के अंदर नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न्स के साथ बहुत होता है. People think that they are too forward because of their dressing sense and the way they speak English, and hence they try to take a lot of advantage of these girls. बहुत बहुत frequently देखा जाता है, unnecessarily botheration from auto walas to rickshaw walas to organizations के अंदर smaller organization, large organization. People just think that they are more forward, hence they are available for them, and hence they move forward and take advantage of the situation without even taking the consent. So that's really wrong. Also, Posh talks about that if you are in a senior position, so suppose I am a male member, I am in a senior position and hire you. And after hiring you, I tell that Gavita, you can only get promotions once you start, going out with me or sleeping with me or having sex with me, anything, any kind of thing I tell you. That also covered under prevention of sexual harassment. So there is no, every woman is safe and secure under POSH, but the only issue is women do not raise their voice against it. One, because they feel कि उनका job चला जाएगा, their earning thing will stop. Also, जब भी हम केस डालते हैं, so people start judging the woman. That is the societal bias. Organization के अंदर भी कि वो छोटे कपड़े पहनती है, dresses are like that. Even in organization, in places like Gurgaon, Mumbai, Bangalore, where women are really forward in terms of their dressing sense, people still talk like that. And all these examples that I'm sharing with you, I've handled almost 37 cases so far as a member of ICC organization. So all these cases are real life cases that we have handled. And in some cases, women do not move ahead purely because of the bias. कि क्या होगा? People will think about me. They will judge me only. The male member will be, not really get hampered. And there are so many such cases in India. एक था Mr. Murthy थे, Infosys में काम करते थे. He was the senior most member. I think he was a CEO or CTO, something like that. He was found guilty. He was asked to leave. First two instances, he was not asked to leave the organization. Third time, he repeated in Infosys, he was asked to leave the organization. For 2 years, he did not work anywhere. Then he joined some company in US. After 2 years, again he was being sacked from that US company on again sexual harassment. So all these things keep happening. So Elon Musk, who is the billionaire, he's the number one, the richest man in the world. He's also found guilty of sexual harassment. See, sexual harassment doesn't mean that you're pushing yourself towards somebody. Sexual harassment in the organization also means that you're using your power in terms of bringing some people. Just now, in just I think 3 days back, it was in the newspaper that he was found guilty of having an
Also,
affair
ma'am,
with them. Yeah.
an IAS officer, I mean, not guilty, but it is said that he has uh, assaulted or sexually harassed an IIT
Yeah.
Indore, I guess.
Yeah, just now it was there. Okay. So these cases keep happening purely because of our mindset in India. We do not value the women till the time things will not change at home. It will not change outside in that huge things. उन्हीं घरों में वुमेन सेफ है जहाँ पर इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, इक्वालिटी है. घर के अंदर ही आप देखोगे मैक्सिमम number of cases that is being reported every year. Maximum number of offenders who are there who actually rape or do assault or do any kind of things, they are either the relatives or people who are known to the woman. So imagine if हम अपने घर में safe नहीं है, so how you can think that you can be safe? So till that time, that change will not come. That लड़कियां सिर्फ यूज करी जा सकती है, मतलब फॉर प्रोडक्शन और फॉर सेक्सुअल ग्रेटिफिकेशन, तब तक वो चीज चेंज नहीं होगी. आई थिंक नथिंग विल चेंज. But the good thing is that today's generation, because when we interact with a lot of MBA institute like we go now and your age group and all that, so I really feel very happy where these men, these boys are very much educated. They understand things a lot better than हमारे generation में. हमारा generation and our parents' generation was the सबसे खराब generation who actually brought in these things more, right? Because they were not given that kind of an education. So that is the reason why things have taken this shape where we are today. So a lot of things can happen in organizations, so we need to be ready. So when जब हम organization में cases handle करते हैं, as an HR सबसे पहला reporting हमारे पास ही आता है. Even if you are not a member of ICC, जो committee होती है जो handle करती है cases, still the first thing comes to HR. So as an HR, handling these cases very maturely is what is required. Removing all the biases from, again, mindset. So biases plays a lot of role in terms of removing these. Right? So we will talk about biases in training and development next week a little bit, but majorly it will be shared by Hardik sir. उन्होंने क्योंकि slides वगैरह बना रखे हैं, last time भी share किया था. So he gives you good example in terms of what exactly goes into that. Yeah. All right. Anything else that you need to know from me today? Or shall we call it a day? All right. So I'll share this PPT and the case studies, both this and the other case studies. You'll have to work on the other case study on the college next week. All right. Have a good day. Have a great week ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. You too.